I'm starting with $250 to see if I can trade my way to $1 total that beats this new channel's subscriber count. The rules are simple. Rule number 1, start with $250. $250 is relatable. I mean, everybody has $250 that you could go start trading with right now. Rule number 2, I must document every trade, and that's why I'm going to be creating these videos showing the trades that I'm making as I go. And rule number 3, 1 subscriber equals $1. This means that a year from right now, I have to have more dollars in my portfolio than the number of subscribers that we have on this channel. Or else, I mean, I don't know what the consequence is going to be yet, but maybe we can decide that later, and it's probably not going to be good. I think it's possible, but let's see what happens. We're starting to get some red. That's a decent sign. We made $4.18. The stats for day traders are not great, and there's lots of different studies. They all kind of say a little bit different numbers, a little bit different things, but about 40% of day traders abandon the pursuit within the first month, and saw some studies where 13% of them, only 13%, are profitable within the first 6 months. So we're looking at about a 1 in 10. Like, can I be that one trader out of the 10 other guys? I've been wanting to get better at trading for a while. I've dabbled, I've done some long-term trading, I've done a tiny bit of short-term trading, but I want to actually get good. Can this YouTube channel be the forcing function to make that happen? And I'm hoping by the end of this video, maybe I could have one profitable trade. We need to figure out our game plan, but first let's ask some more experienced traders what they would do. This is my buddy Heole.
Every week, I like to pick one real-world event, research it, explain what I think will happen, make a small bet, and then review.
What Heole is talking about here is called Polymarket. Maybe you've heard of it. It has markets based around actual real events. And so you have to get really good at researching and seeing the news and being up to date on what's happening. So we might try something like this later on in the series, but I want to stick to something I already know a little bit better, which is crypto. Over the past couple of months, I've been watching a couple different YouTubers that I think have pretty good trading content. Matthew does swing trading, Ben Cohen covers the bigger picture of Bitcoin, and then I've been learning from Riley how to enter position and look for unhealthy moves. I also read this book, Technical Analysis of the Financial Markets, which teaches the basics of charting and analysis. Share your trading ideas on what you would do starting with $250 in the comments below. Based on all this research, let's talk about my strategy that I'm going to try to do first, starting out. So we're on the Bitcoin chart. This is the 4-hour candles, which I think is, a better time frame to kind of set back and kind of see what has happened. And so to start out, we're going to be looking for support and resistance. So I'm sure you've heard lots of people talk about these kind of ideas, support and resistance. But here, just going to identify this one right here. There's been multiple times where the candles have come down into the support and bounced off it. Now, we did have a couple times where it went below, but this is a big area of support. And let's say that right now, we're looking back in the past just to see how this works. Let's say this is our current time right now. So we don't know any of this data here, but we're just trying to get our strategy, look through it to see if it actually would have worked in times in the past. So let's say that's our current time. So we start with the support where we know if our price is going down into this, it's more so likely that we could bounce off that. Now, it's not a for sure thing, but we're just trying to get the highest probabilities that something could happen. So we're going to combine our support and resistances with another indicator called the fixed range volume profile. So if I just go up to kind of where the range started and pull all the way down to the bottom, this will kind of show where volume has been the most throughout this whole range. So you can see in this middle area, this is kind of where there's been the most volume on this white line. Down here is kind of the bottom of where there's been a lot of volume. And then the top of the range is kind of the top volume profile. So at these prices, there's been more volume, which kind of shows that there's gonna probably be more trading around these lines. And you'll notice that this lines up very well with the support line I've already drawn. So this is starting to look like this could be a good place to maybe make a trade around. And then the third thing that I like to look at is this liquidity map. So this is showing where other traders could get liquidated if the price went into these price points. So this is just a random time on this map. This isn't gonna have to do with what we were looking back here, but just to get the idea of at this price point, it's saying at $77,000, there are $4.2 billion of liquidity that would be swept up if the price went down to that point. So these are basically forced sellers. If the price goes down here, they didn't necessarily want to sell, they're just getting liquidated. And so what I've seen in these strategies and in my research is a lot of times the price will sweep down to these different levels to kind of grab this liquidity that's there, and that will move the price to it before it might then jump back up the other direction. So you can kind of use that third liquidity indicator to see, okay, is there a lot of liquidity right below this or right above this line? And if there is, I might want to wait for that to be swept up before I then make a move. So now if we switch to the 5-minute candles, sometimes I use 15 minutes, sometimes even 1 minute, but a lower time frame candles, and we zoom into this specific spot where we can see this kind of played out like we're hoping our strategy would happen, where we're coming down into the line where we have support and we have this volume support here. And we don't know exactly where it's gonna hit, but you're kind of just looking for this general area. Maybe it just touches the line. Sometimes, a lot of times it does go through the line because it's just kind of messy. And so we're gonna look for it coming into our support, into our line, and then some candles showing that it's starting to bounce up. And so the idea would be, maybe right once it gets to our support line and starting to go back the other way, we would then do a long and try to go long to see if we can catch the profit on this move upwards. Now you can also do this on the other side. Say that the price is going up into resistance, like we have this volume resistance right here. Maybe somewhere like here is a good place to actually short, where we're thinking, okay, the price is gonna bounce off that and go down. So this strategy is really called scalping. You've probably heard of it. It's a very common strategy that people are trying to do. And I think it's a good place to start because we're not trying to hold our position too long. Like ideally it's something that lasts an hour or so before we are in and out of the market. But I think it's a good place to start for people that are beginners or people like myself and trying to get better at getting these entries into a position. So this is going to be our first strategy in NOAH 250. Let's try to make our first trade. Bitcoin just jumped up here. It swept this high here. So what I'm thinking is this is a decent place to short and kind of do like a scalp short, kind of like my strategy I've been thinking, because these are the highs. This is the highs in the last, 2 months. It got up to here. We kind of went down. We're trying to go back up. And so I'm thinking we might have just kind of swept that and we're just going to go down. So I don't know. I might have missed a trade already. Maybe there's a chance we bounce back up here again. And if we start, maybe it's a second touch and that's a good place. If it starts to look like it's failing again, maybe I can then short, and that's kind of our setup here. So it's the next day and you can see I made this line here, and this is when we first popped over it yesterday. We never actually hit it yesterday when I was looking at it. We got really close right here. We never went over it, but just like 45 minutes ago, we went boom right above it. And now we're just kind of sitting on this line. So I feel like there's potentially a trade here. But if we roll back here on the 4-hour on Bitcoin, you can see this is the top of the range here. So I'm going to put a little marker here. I'm thinking that this is actually, like, now we have the chance of maybe hitting above this, maybe even getting above 80K. Like that's like this big point. If we get above 80K, that would then be a good opportunity to short, and maybe, short around up here once we pass this line, see if we can kind of get back below it. And then we would hopefully go down a ways, and that could be our trade. Okay, because another thing I was looking at here, this is liquidity on Bitcoin. So you can see this is that price around 79,000. There is almost $2.6 billion of liquidity up to 80,000, which from what I'm learning, that means that if the price goes up over this, sweeps up, that means those people will be liquidated or their stops will be hit. And so if we went through this, like that's a lot of liquidity, the price would probably go really fast, boom, up above, and then hopefully come back down not soon after that. So this is 90 days worth of liquidity. So this is another reason, like I think it's looking like we're getting close already. Like we're we're only 0.6% away from hitting that. And then we're going to start hitting a lot of that liquidity up to 80K. So like, I'm kind of thinking it could be something where we hit this and then boom, like within like 5 minutes. And then if we take our short around there, that's where we could drop back down. So I think I'll set like some kind of alert, and I'll probably have to be kind of looking at this throughout the next couple hours, because it could still take some time for this to play out, but hopefully I don't miss it. And just a couple of hours later, the price did in fact pump towards that line, but then it started to reject right before it. And so I thought I had missed it, but that did not end up being the case. I was away from the computer, and you could see it was here, dropped down, and then we rocketed past the line I was just talking about, and we went decently far. We're up to 80,400. It looks like it's topped out now. If I was at my computer, I probably would have like shorted here and been kind of early, but we're already kind of back down to that. And so I'm on the 15-minute. I don't know, like, is this just going to keep going down? Like, have we hit our top here, or are we just going to continue higher at some point? Okay, this is what I'm thinking could be a decent setup. Like, so this is the top here. What if we have our stop loss here? Say this bounces up here somewhere. We have a chance of losing 0.3%. But then maybe we get down to here. That's a risk reward of 3, which means we're risking this red area here, but we could make 3 times that. So this green area is 3 times that we could maybe make. So I'm trying to calculate, if I use $300 times 10x leverage, that gives us $3,000 worth of a position. And then we're risking 0.3%. And so that gives us that we would lose $9. So we could do, what if we did 4,000? That would be perfect. So we can do $400 size, and that gets us, if this is our actual thing here, that gets us to about our right position here, where we would risk our 5% amount, our most amount, but we can then gain potentially a 3x, $36, or maybe it even keeps going and we're even better. So it looks like it's coming back a little bit. So I think I'm gonna place this limit order.
I said let him cook!
Maybe this goes our way. I don't know. Hey, but hey, starting to get some red. That's a decent sign. But then I realized that I had made a mistake with my position size. I only did a position value of 400. I should have done 4,000. No. Okay, I guess I made a mistake there. I don't know why I was thinking I guess I was thinking 400 margin. I don't even have 400. Wait, what? Position value is 10 times smaller than I think it could have been for me to actually hit my amount here. Barely almost hit my stop loss, but since it rejected right there, I decided maybe this would be actually a great time to add the full size I was intending to in the beginning. Okay, there it is. We just did our first trade and we lost some money. Look at that green candle. That is just going. So you're kind of like happy now that I'm out of that, kind of. But it's like, it's like, here's a great place to enter, maybe, and then it goes down. I don't know. Like, so yeah, that is the first trade of NOAH 250. We didn't lose too much money. I feel like it was a decent idea. I don't know if I played that right. Okay, so I did just notice on my other chart here, if we zoom out, this orange line I just added, this is the bottom tick of the previous range on Bitcoin. So Bitcoin was ranging around here. It hit here as a low, went higher until it finally crashed through. We just came up about to that same tick. So I think, I'm not an expert here, but I think that bottom of range could act as a support, a horizontal support that when we run up into, again, that is kind of, because it was kind of just the bottom of that range. Don't ask me. I don't know. I don't know the like science, I don't know, behind this. So I had my plan, but would I be ready for what happens next? Gonna have to figure out what our thing is here. I'm doing it. Just
I said, let him cook!
That's kind of a funny little feature. Okay, so with this setup, we're risking $7.50. So we're risking a little bit more just because I have my stop loss a little higher. Oh, look at that. It's starting to go down. We might have gotten in a decent point here. It might even be worth it to raise my stop loss all the way up to my max 1250, just because it could mess around up here a little more. I stepped away from my computer because I knew this could take some time. I'm going to add a limit order. So if the price goes down here, we will shave 25% profit and actually get some profits. And the other thing about the strategy is if we do kind of reject and get down here, I could then, kind of looks like we're going to continue downwards. I could then pull my stop loss to break even so that we're at least not going to lose anything on the trade. And maybe this does go down here, we get some profit, and then maybe it bounces back up and we at least got something. Fingers crossed. It feels like we could just bounce right back up here. So I'm wondering if we should just, we got $3 in profit here. That's something. That's 3 subscribers. I could either just close it out with the profit. Let's just go to break even. It's not really coming at us. We could take a 50% profit and then just let it ride at break even. But I feel like it's very possible, kind of at where I have these levels at my break even spot, I feel like it would at least bounce up to here and then go down. The other thing about only starting with 250 in capital is we really have to protect our capital, because if we run out of that, like, we are kind of sunk and we have lost this challenge completely. And so I think staying protective is pretty good. I think what I'm going to at least do, let's close 25% of this and we're going to get 82 cents, some profit here. So that, that's something. It was getting late, and so I went to bed. But I had everything set up for the trade so that we could see when we wake up what happened. All right, so we're out of the trade. I moved my stop loss up to here, and you can see it just broke past it. I didn't have the camera running this whole time, and then we actually just had our first profitable trade. We made $4.18, I believe, on that. I had a limit order to close right down here, and so you can see we hit that, made a little bit of profit there. Hey, I think I'm decently happy with how this turned out. Like, I feel like I did the right thing. Like, I stopped at break even. I got in on a pretty good wick that was like a decent timing to get in here. And so I feel like I actually played this right. And, it was just a matter of, was it going to continue down or not? And, if it continued down to here, we would have had a pretty good trade on our hands. Okay, so we are once again at the highs. We hit it the first time. This is the one we traded last time. Now look at this. We went above it, came back below. Now we're above it. And we've also hit into a good amount of liquidity, 81,000 here. If we look at the liquidity on the 90-day, we got up to 81,000. So there's like 500 million or so of liquidity. If I refresh this, let's see if there's less. Yeah, we kind of got a lot of it. So we got most of the liquidity. There's still some up here. And so that's where I'm saying where it's like the price gets pushed up because people are getting stop loss, they're getting liquidated. The price kind of goes crazy. And I think that's that wick right there. And now it looks like we're kind of starting to reject. Like, I think it's a good sign that we're now starting to close below this wick on the 5-minute. You can also see the amount of volume. We had a lot of volume here, and then volume has dropped off. So kind of the idea that we went up a lot. Now, are we going to have enough volume to push up again? Maybe not. I hadn't made my trade yet, but I wanted to see if the price would bounce off this trend line, and then maybe that could be a good time for me to get in. Okay, we're doing it. We are in the position. Now, all I could really do is hope that I had made a good plan and that it would go my way. But sadly, it bounced around before popping up right into my stop loss. It was another losing trade. I may not be the best trader, but I'm dedicated to try to get better and make this work. And if we're going to beat this challenge, then we're gonna have to learn every trade that I make. And that's where this notebook comes in. With that last trade, we ended up with $241.89. But here are some of my learnings and takeaways from these first 3 trades. Number 1, be patient. I think I need to wait a little bit longer to see how the price reacts to the support and resistance lines that I found, because then I'll actually know what could happen instead of just jumping right in right away. Number 2, avoid the chop. I realized that some of my resistance lines were maybe good lines, but there had already been a decent amount of chop beforehand, which I think shows that it's probably just gonna keep chopping and it's probably not going to break and fall right away when I'm trying to short it. All in all, I'm excited to learn and get better at this, so I hope that you join me in this journey by becoming a subscriber, or $1, that is. See you in the next episode. And that next episode might be showing up on screen right now if it's already available.